How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Time for 20 series. I'm Greg, and this is the morning wake up flow. Let's get right after it, starting at the top of our mat, standing tall in Tadasana Mountain Pose. So bring your feet hips distance, stand up nice and tall, shoulders draw away from the ears, shoulder blades draw slightly towards each other, chest up nice and proud. Imagine like energy is flowing up the front side of your body and down the back side of your body, rooting you strong. Let's just begin to bring the awareness, the attention to our feet, and just begin to pick up one heel at a time and place them back down, and pick up the balls of the feet and place them down, just really feeling the surface, the mat beneath us. On heel, heel, ball of the foot, just rooting these feet down. And let's bring the awareness now up to our pelvis, noticing if maybe we have any excessive tilt into our pelvis here, and doing our best to try to find that neutral. So maybe you want to think of tucking the butt under slightly, as if you're trying to read an imaginary belt buckle, and then bring the heels of your palms to your hip points and your middle fingers to your pubic bone. And if your hands are in about a clean line, then your pelvis is pretty neutral. If you have a crazy anterior tilt like this and it's super dramatic, you wouldn't even be able to see your middle fingers. So find that position there and then try to keep that neutral pelvis. Come up to the ribs. So same thing, if the ribs are flared out, maybe we just want to tuck them in. And if we're a little slouched over, maybe we just want to pick them up slightly. Now that we're standing nice and tall here in our mountain pose, let's just begin to connect to our breath. Feeling the inhales travel throughout the body, feeling the exhales travel out the body. Getting this nice connection to our breath as we're just in a standing posture here. And then giving ourselves a gentle reminder to use this breath throughout the entire class. On an inhale, the arms will sweep wide to go high, fingers touch overhead. And then right hand will grab left wrist and side bend to the right. Try to keep those ribs from flaring out. So just imagine like your body is in two panes of glass. We don't want to back bend or forward fold. And then on an inhale, we'll come back through center. Left hand grabs right wrist, side bend to the left. Inhale, come through center. On an exhale, we'll release the hands behind our back body, interlacing our fingers right behind our sacrum. Roll the shoulder blades together as if you're holding an imaginary pencil in between them. Chest out nice and proud. Big inhale through the nose. And on an exhale, hinge from the hips, folding forward. Try to keep the heels of your palms together as best you can. And if you're all the way folded forward like this, try to draw the shoulder blades away from the ears. Maybe you want to bend deep into the right knee, straighten through the left leg a little, and drop the right shoulder towards right knee, opening left side chest. And then you can switch, deep bend in the left knee, straighten the right leg, drop left shoulder towards left knee, opening the right side chest. Come back through center, nice little bend in each knee without letting the hands slingshot. Can we slowly lower them to frame the feet? On an inhale, we'll halfway lift, flat back, belly vacuums in. And on an exhale, fold it back down, hinging from the hips. Inhale, halfway lift the chest and chin, flat back. Exhale, fold it down, plant the hands on the mat, step 1 foot back at a time, coming into plank pose. From our plank pose, just lean forward on the toes and just begin to slowly lower yourself all the way down onto your belly. Slide your hands slightly off the mat and then TP up onto your fingertips and let your forehead just rest down onto the mat. So we have 3 points of contact here, 1 being the shoelace part of our feet, 1 being our pubic bone, and 1 being our forehead. So I want you to press down this pubic bone so much into the mat that you feel that butt tuck under and you feel your belly kind of lift off the mat. On an inhale, just slowly begin to peel the head and chest up off the mat, shoulder blades draw down and together. And on an exhale, just roll it back down. As soon as the forehead taps, inhale, lift it back up. Exhale, roll it back down. Forehead taps, last one. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale. Exhale, roll it down. This next one, let's bring our arms out long in front of us, palms facing towards each other. So on an inhale, we'll lift the arms, lift the head, lift the chest, press the pubic bone down. And now maybe we let the legs float here, coming into locust pose. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Press that pubic bone down, vacuum that belly in. And on an exhale, we'll bring the hands in, float them next to your ribs, drop the feet, drop the hands. On an inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Hands press down and pull back as the chest comes through the shoulders. Gaze forward. And on an exhale, downward facing dog. Any way you have to get there. First down dog of the day, so move and adjust. Strong, straight arms. Think of your fingertips suction, cupping down, the knuckles rooting, pressing the hips up and away. The head relaxes in between this little gate that is your arms. Little bend in the knees. The most important thing about a down dog is not touching your heels to the mat. It's about having a nice, clean, neutral back. From our down dog, let's bring our big toes to touch. Keep these strong, straight arms and just swivel the hips to the right. And then come through center and swivel them to the left. One more time, over towards the right. And then over towards the left. Back through center, high on the toes, bend the knees, gaze forward. Step, hop, float your way up to the top of the mat. On an inhale, halfway lift, flat back. On an exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, arms sweep wide to go high, fingers touch overhead. Exhale, hands drop to heart center. Big inhale here. Exhale, sigh. Inhale, arms reach wide to go high, fingers touch. On an exhale, hinge from the hips, forward fold. Plant the hands on the mat, step the left foot back, drop the left knee. Inhale, rise, Anjaneyasana, low lunge. So this right knee should stack about over this right ankle. You can have the back left knee under the hip or a little back. It's all just preference. Arms reach, but the shoulders stay drawn away from the ears. Scrub your front right heel towards your back left knee and your back left knee towards your front right heel. That'll help lift your pelvic floor and square your hips. Engage into the core, belly draws in. Check on this left glute, make sure it's active and engaged. So maybe you have to think of that imaginary belt buckle, trying to read it. On an exhale, we'll hinge forward. Left hand finds the mat, right fingertips find the temple. On an inhale with control, we open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Last one. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Right hand finds the mat. Step the left foot up to meet the right. Step the right foot back. Drop the right knee. Inhale, rise. Anjaneyasana, low lunge. So scrub heel towards knee, knee towards heel. Core is engaged. Back glute is on. Arms reach, but shoulders stay drawn away from the ears. On your next exhale, we'll hinge forward. Right hand finds the mat. Left fingertips find the temple. Inhale, we open with control. Exhale, we close. Inhale, we open. Exhale, we close. Inhale, we open. Exhale, we close. Left hand finds the mat. Step the right foot forward to meet the left. Forward fold. Nice deep bend in the knees. Grab opposite elbows, coming into a ragdoll position. Really release the crown of your head, so that means your gaze will be back at your legs and not towards the floor. I always encourage a little swaying of the torso in this ragdoll, so you not only hit that middle part of the hamstring, but you get into the edges, the inner and outer part as well. Slowly make your way back through center. Release the hands to the mat and put such a deep bend in your knees that your belly lays right on top of your thighs. Tuck your chin in towards your chest. Imagine like someone clicks slow-mo on your body, as if you can only move one vertebra at a time, rising all the way up. Head and chin lift last. Gaze as the shoulders roll back. Move a little at the top. Big inhale. Exhale, sigh. Inhale, the arms sweep wide to go high. As soon as the fingers touch overhead, reverse and dive it back down. Forward fold. Plant the hands and slowly just begin to lower your butt all the way to the mat, coming all the way back down onto your mat, setting up into a bridge pose. So normally in bridge, you might hear you want the heels right behind your glutes so that you can touch them. I would rather you step them a little further out so we can have a nice neutral pelvis. Even check on the ribs, make sure they're not flaring out. Arms by our sides. Root down through the heels, and on an inhale, lift the hips about a fist to a fist and a half distance off the mat for a low bridge. Try to tuck that butt underneath and pull the low abs up, or read that imaginary belt to get the glutes engaged. So if you don't feel like your glutes and your hamstrings and the back line of your body is working for you, come up onto the heels of your feet and imagine like you're digging your heels into sand at the beach. And maybe now you can feel the glutes and hamstrings work. And then you can lower the rest of the foot back onto the mat. Breathe here. And on an exhale, roll down the spine one vertebra at a time. Sacrum touches last. Inhale as we come back up. Low bridge, a fist to a fist and a half. Glutes engaged, back lines working. Belly draws in and active. And on an exhale, roll down the spine one vertebra at a time, coming all the way down onto the mat. Now this next one here, we're just gonna do like an ordinary crunch you would do in gym class back in the day. So big inhale here, and on an exhale, crunch up, lifting the head and shoulder blades. So when you crunch, imagine like there's a string pulling from the middle of your chest and not your neck. Arms float here, low back is making contact with the mat, and now extend the legs out long, bringing the big toes to touch, coming into low boat pose. Point out through the toes, reach through the fingers, core draws in, low back presses into the mat, shoulder blades stay lifted. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And on an exhale, let everything melt back to the mat. Let the feet fall open, arms rest by your sides, taking a little break. Reconnect to your breath if you might have lost it. And remember this mantra as you flow and move. I breathe, I move, I move, I breathe. As long as you're doing those two things, you're doing everything okay. Let's bring the big toes back together to touch, arms back by our sides, setting ourselves up. Big inhale through the nose. And on an exhale, we'll rise, low boat pose. Pressing low back down, core draws in, point through the toes, reach through the fingers. Shoulder blades stay lifted. Now can we bend the knees and bring them in towards the chest with our arms still by our sides? And now as I extend the legs back, can we simultaneously reach the right arms back behind us, keeping shoulder blades lifted? And then come back, knees to chest, arms forward. Extend out long. Breathe, 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 breathe. Knees back into chest, arms forward. Hold, hold, hold. And slowly lower down, hugging the knees in towards the chest. Rock a little side to side on the low back. Let's release the hands out like T's and drop both knees over towards the right for just a nice little gentle spinal twist. You can gaze towards the ceiling or your left hand, whichever feels better on your neck. And then on an inhale, bring the knees back through center. Let them drop over towards the left, gazing at the right hand or the ceiling, whatever feels better. Inhale, come back through center. Bring the hands to the hamstrings and just begin to rock and roll up and down on your spine, just articulating on the spine. It can be low key or a little bit dramatic. And we're going to try to go right to a standing mountain pose at the top of the mat here. So if you need your hands, use your hands, but maybe you can get enough momentum to just rock yourself right up, standing up nice and tall without even needing the hands. Once we've all met at the top of the mat, on an inhale, the arms will reach wide to go high, fingers touch. And on an exhale, hinge it from the hips, forward fold. We'll step the left foot back long, drop the left knee to the mat. On an inhale, rise, Anjaneyasana, low lunge. On an exhale, hinge, plant the hands, step the left foot forward, step the right foot back, drop the knee. Inhale, rise, Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Exhale, hinge forward. Plant the hands, tuck the back right toes, pop the knee off the mat. Step the left foot back to meet the right plank pose. Lean forward on the toes, coming forward over the wrists. And on an exhale, chaturanga, elbows stay pinned to your sides as you lower down. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Shoulder blades draw down and together. Hands press down and draw back. And on an exhale, downward facing dog. In your downward facing dog, begin to bring your feet as wide as your mat, and then just begin to crawl the hands all the way back to your mat, and then drop into a nice malasana yogi squat. So feet out about 45 degrees or so, elbows used to clear some space between the knees, and then we use the glutes to keep the knees wide away from each other so we don't even need the elbows, but they're just there. Hands at heart center, chest up nice and proud. And then let's try to reach the chest in between our legs. Reach the right arm out in front of you, and on an inhale, open the left arm like the bird of a wing. And on an exhale, flap it back down. Left hand reaches long. Inhale, right arm reaches. Exhale, comes back. One more each way. Inhale, the left arm reaches high. On an exhale, it comes back in. Inhale, right arm reaches high. Exhale, it comes back in. Once both hands are planted, just begin to walk all the way back to your downward facing dog. Pedal the heels, shake the hips. And then just slowly begin to walk the feet up the mat, coming all the way to your hands, lowering yourself all the way back down onto your butt, coming all the way onto the back body. One knee at a time, hug the knees in towards the chest, giving them a big squeeze. And then bring the hands onto the kneecaps. Slowly begin to let your knees go wide away from each other as far as they will go. Keep the sacrum planted on the mat. And then allow the knees to travel forward. As soon as your fingers are going to slide off your knees, bring the knees back together, back in towards the chest. So knees go wide, forward, back together, back into the chest, completing the circle. One more like that. Knees go wide, come forward, back together, back into the chest. And then let's pause here and reverse the direction. So knees travel forward, go wide, come back towards the armpits, and then back together. Knees go forward together. Go out wide, back towards the armpits, back into the chest. Last one, just like that. Knees travel forward, out wide, back towards the body, and then back in towards the chest. And then let's just release the feet down onto the mat. From here, heel toe your feet out as wide as your mat, and let both knees fall over towards the right. If the right leg comes down onto the mat, perfect. If the left leg is hovering, that's good as well. I want you to root into that inner arch, that big toe side of that left foot, pressing the heel down, tuck the butt underneath, and then reach your left hand up in diagonal towards the top left corner or the back left corner of your mat. And just notice that nice side stretch, a little active supine twist. On an inhale, we'll come back through center. Knees will draw over towards the left. Left knee touches the mat. Right leg stays lifted. Root through that inner arch, pressing into the heel. Glute tucks underneath. Right arm reaches diagonal towards that corner of the mat. Just getting a nice side body stretch. Slowly release on an exhale. On an inhale, come back through center. Hug the knees up and towards your chest. One last squeeze. Bring your forehead towards your knees. And then just slowly release the torso, one leg at a time. Slowly release your heels towards the corners of your mat. Setting yourself up for our final pose, resting pose of Shavasana. So let the feet fall open like a book, unclench the jaw, let the tongue drop from the roof of your mouth, create a little space between your eyebrows. Let the shoulders relax and melt. Just imagine like you're butter on a hot pan or as formless as a puddle. I encourage you to stay in this Shavasana for as long as you can or as long as you feel you want to. Yoga teaches us that all living beings are connected. So with that, I say, one breath, one love, namaste.